The flight had barely taken off when tensions in the cabin started to rise. A white woman, clearly frustrated about something, suddenly reached over and took a seat that wasn't hers right next to a calm, composed black passenger who had been minding his own business. Other passengers noticed immediately, whispering and exchanging uneasy glances. You could feel the discomfort ripple through the cabin as the crew watched closely, ready to step in if things escalated. The man politely asked her to return to her assigned seat, but she ignored him, acting as if rules didn't apply to her. For a moment, it seemed like the situation might spiral out of control. The flight attendants moved with quiet authority, signaling that they weren't going to let this slide. The woman's attitude was shocking, the tension thick, and the rest of the passengers held their breath, unsure what would happen next. Little did she know, the crew had a plan to teach a lesson about respect and fairness, something she wouldn't soon forget. But what exactly happened in those next few minutes would leave everyone on the plane stunned, and the story was far from over. You won't believe how it unfolded. The black passenger, a calm and composed man in his late 30s, had been looking forward to a simple flight home after a long day of work. He had his headphones on, quietly scrolling through his phone, completely unaware that the small act of someone taking his seat could ignite such chaos. Around him, the cabin was buzzing, not with chatter, but with the subtle tension that made every passenger glance nervously at the situation. The woman, on the other hand, seemed determined to make a scene. Her tone was sharp, her gestures impatient, as if she believed the rules didn't apply to her. Other passengers began murmuring, some taking out their phones, while the crew maintained a careful distance, observing the situation closely. You could see the unspoken questions in everyone's eyes. Would she finally move? Would this escalate into a confrontation? Meanwhile, the flight attendants started quietly preparing, moving with a calm precision that only trained professionals could maintain. Their eyes exchanged subtle signals, a silent plan forming as they assessed the woman's behavior. The air was thick with anticipation, and every small movement felt significant. Something was about to happen that would change the mood of the entire cabin, but exactly how, no one could have predicted. The tension in the cabin grew thicker with every passing minute. Some passengers shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others tried to ignore the situation, pretending not to notice the standoff unfolding just a few rows away. The man whose seat had been taken kept his composure, but you could sense the frustration simmering beneath his calm exterior. He had encountered rude behavior before, but the way this woman had brazenly ignored basic decency made the moment feel charged, almost electric. Meanwhile, the woman's attitude seemed to intensify. She tapped her phone loudly, leaned back arrogantly, and even glanced around as if daring someone to confront her. From the perspective of other passengers, it was a mix of disbelief and discomfort, some shaking their heads, others exchanging worried looks. A mother in the row behind whispered to her child, trying to downplay the tension, while a young man near the aisle gripped the armrest, sensing that the situation could escalate at any moment. The flight attendants, calm but vigilant, were moving subtly, checking their walkie-talkies and signaling to one another. Their strategy wasn't just about enforcing rules, it was about maintaining safety and teaching respect without causing a scene. Every glance, every step they took, added layers to the suspense. No one could predict exactly how the woman would respond, and the cabin held its collective breath, waiting for the next move that could either defuse or explode the situation. The cabin felt heavier now. Every small sound amplified, the hum of the engines, the rustle of bags, even the subtle creak of seatbelts. The woman leaned back, smirking, as if daring anyone to challenge her further. Passengers exchanged uneasy glances, some clutching their phones, others gripping their armrests, sensing that the moment was about to reach a breaking point. The man in the seat she had taken remained calm, but his eyes betrayed a mix of frustration and disbelief, silently willing her to do the right thing. The flight attendants moved with quiet precision, positioning themselves strategically, their expressions calm but firm. One subtly approached the woman while another stayed near the aisle, ready to act if needed. The murmurs of the passengers grew louder, a ripple of anticipation spreading through the rows. You could almost feel the collective tension vibrating in the air. Every gesture of the woman, tapping her foot impatiently, leaning arrogantly against the seat, felt like fuel on a fire. The man's patience was being tested, and even the crew knew that the slightest misstep could ignite a confrontation. With every passing second, the suspense mounted. Passengers held their breath, eyes darting between the woman, the man, and the crew. The cabin was on the edge of chaos, teetering between order and disorder, and no one knew who would make the first decisive move.